I've been in financial planning since the early 1970s, and I now consider myself to be one of the leading financial planners in the UK later life market today. Equity release is where people can access the capital that's built up in their home over the years by either creating what is called a lifetime mortgage. This is a mortgage that you don't repay. You draw the capital and the interest is repaid when you die. Or you can draw it out through what is called a home reversion scheme, where you actually sell a proportion of your home to an equity release company. For a lot of people, it's the line of last resort that they may well have used all of their lifetime savings. They're struggling to maintain a reasonable existence on their pension income, and they feel they've got no option other than to access some of the equity in their home. If people haven't got any family of their own and they're not concerned about any future inheritance, then it isn't perhaps an issue. But many of my clients who do have a family are really keen that their family should receive an inheritance when they die, and equity release will make a big hole in that. Equity release is perhaps the only option that some people may have, but the key thing is to investigate all options before going down the route of equity release, as there may be another solution which can then help to protect the future inheritance of children and grandchildren. I think the first thing to say in terms of the service that I provide in respect of equity release is that I don't arrange equity release. If that is something that is appropriate for one of my clients, I will introduce them to an independent expert who will do this. One of the problems that I think people face is that if they go directly to an equity release provider, then that provider will only talk about equity release as the option. When I go along and see a client, I will investigate all other options before I will introduce a client to the equity release provider. I can give two examples of the alternative approaches that I've adopted in the past. With one client, it was a fairly elderly lady who had relatively recently been widowed, and her pension income wasn't sufficient to maintain the standard of living that she wanted, and she thought that the only option was equity release. When I went to see her, it was clear that she didn't understand what she had inherited from her husband. And when I'd completed my inquiries, I found that she had savings and investments in excess of £50,000, which meant that equity release wasn't necessary. In another example, I was approached by a businessman who asked me whether I did equity release. And when I asked him what it was about, he talked about his parents and the fact that they couldn't afford to replace their old car. I asked him whether he had any brothers and sisters. It turned out there were 4 of them. And when I asked him whether they could each afford £50 a month, to which the answer was yes, I said, well, go and lease your parents a car, and then that will protect your future inheritance and that of your brothers and sisters. If you're considering equity release, or somebody in your family is, then please get in touch with me first. You can either telephone me, email me, or complete the form that's on my website.